because if you read it quickly,
你快讀4、5個月，3個月啦，4、5個月真係讀到。
if you begin to see in many different places, God is saying the same thing.
喺成本經文佢不斷喺度重複某啲嘢嘅，重複又重複㗎。
If you read it once a year or once every 2 years,
1年讀1次，2年讀1次咧，
it's harder for you to see it because it's
係
smaller
難啲睇到
chunks.
呢啲重複嘅
But
嘢㗎。
3 chapters a day, is that a lot?
3段經文一樣係。
No, it's not too much. You
唔係
can.
真係唔係。
You all should make a commitment to read the Bible in a year if you can. Ask God
你要祈
that
禱，
He
我
wants you
可
to
唔可以
read the
1
Bible.
年之內讀到成本經文？真係要祈禱，因為問神，神會話俾你聽讀。
Okay. Now, suggestions and help for reading the Bible.
要幫助你1年之內讀到嘅。
Number 1.
第一樣嘢咧，
Don't expect to understand everything the first
你
time you
你
read
第
it.
一次讀嘅經文咧，你冇諗住可以完全明，絕對唔。
And use a different translation that's easier if you can.
睇唔同嘅版本，和合版、乜乜版咁樣，新譯版，睇唔同嘅版本啊，每次你讀一次經文。
I'm reading easy to read version, NIV, and ESV right now.
而家咧，阿 Ken 就讀 ESV。
Try different Chinese ones.
我哋
If
中
they
文
have
都有
them
40幾個版本啊，中文
You could go to
英文
BibleGateway.com
有 Bible 機會啊
and there's 3 Chinese versions on it for free. 6 Chinese versions? Okay.
有Bible 機會都有6個唔同版本啊，12個啊，即係簡體。
Number 2, some Old Testament passages,
好多舊約嘅啦，
they are important for you to understand,
舊約嘅嘢係一樣咁
but
重要嘅喎，
they're boring to read.
好悶嘅。
But did you know the Bible talks about women and menstruation in the Bible?
然後咧，
Did you know
舊
that?
約啊講啲女人
The
啊
ones
基
who
本
have
人
been
喎，
Christians for a while know that.
關我咩事啊？
Did you know that? People who are new, the Bible talks about women and menstruation.
咁啊，女人 M 嚟嗰陣時點樣行為咧，都舊約都有提嘅喎。
Yeah. The Bible talks about what happens if a man gets a disease on their skin.
然後皮膚病都有提嘅喎，利未記。你皮膚病都有提，點解你有皮膚病嘅喎？好多嘢嘅喎。
There are many interesting things in the Bible, not for knowledge, but to learn about God's love.
我哋異邦人特別好多嘢咧，舊約新約咧，我哋都要睇。
You do need to read the Old Testament.
記住睇舊約，
The New Testament is not more important than the Old
我哋
Testament.
冇舊約冇新約兩個一齊睇啊！
But if I were you,
不過如果我係你咧，
I would read
我會
first
先
about Jesus' life.
睇四福音。
So circle Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John on your
馬
front
大
page.
馬可路路加約翰，你先睇呢4個，搞掂呢4個先。如果我係你啊，有啲弟兄姊妹。
Some people, they will read about Jesus 2 or 3 times in a year, all of the Gospels.
4福音係咁讀完又讀，讀完淨係喺嗰度兜圈。
How many of you like movies?
邊個中意睇戲嘅？
Okay.
邊
There,
個去睇戲？
there are Jesus movies.
好多耶穌嘅戲。
There are some that are already translated in Chinese.
有好多有中文嘅翻譯，有中文嘅字幕。
The Visual Bible Matthew,
然後有馬太福音，你可以睇成個馬太福音喺個熒幕上。
and the Luke,
路加福音又係
I
全
think
部
are
喺
in
度，
Chinese, and we can
全
help
部
you
都
find them.
翻譯晒喺中文㗎啦。
Okay, now there is a series of movies. The Visual Bible Matthew,
有馬太嘅，
Visual Bible John,
全部有
and
約
the
翰嘅
Visual Bible Acts.
使徒行傳全部都有戲版㗎啦。
These use the Bible verses straight from the Bible.
佢哋一字不改嘅咪。
So if you don't want to read those books in the
你唔想
Bible,
睇書咧？
you can watch the movies on YouTube for
你
free.
咪走上 YouTube 睇，聽咯睇咯，佢做埋出嚟俾你睇。
And you will get the Bible.
然後係仍然都係睇
And you
經嘅。
can mark it off your list.
然後咧，你喺呢度咧交叉咗，我睇咗呢條啦。
That's what I did last night.
交叉咗啦。然後我琴晚就咁做啦，我睇晒，我睇過呢個，睇過呢個，睇過呢個，交叉晒。
Don't watch the movie too often
唔好成日睇呢
because
出戲。
the Jesus in the movie from the Gospel of John,
喺約翰福音嘅耶穌啦，
he's very handsome.
好靚仔嘅，有阿經咁靚仔嘅。
And you will start to think Jesus in heaven is the movie actor.
你唔好混亂啲荷里活明星同我哋嘅真正嘅耶穌。
So try to read the Bible without the movie one time at
盡
least.
量唔好睇，不過你要睇就睇。
Now, they're going to make a movie about Moses
然後摩西有新戲啊，
this year,
今年會出摩西啊。
starring Batman,
然後咧就做蝙蝠俠嗰個做摩西啊。
the man who played Batman.
And who's wrong? Aaron.
Okay? They're also going to make a movie about Noah,
然後羅啊出㗎啦，
starring the guy who played in Gladiator.
然後一個澳洲 Australian
guy.
羅啊就出定㗎啦，嚟緊㗎啦。
Okay, now you should read the Bible
睇聖經
because not every movie is straight from the Bible.
要聖經為定律，唔係出戲。出戲
Just like when you were in school,
I-
not every movie is like the novel and then you fail your exam.
你唔好睇戲當嗰本書，你唔好睇
Okay,
書緊要。
so you should read different sections of the Bible.
你可以四圍去睇唔同卷，睇個聖經唔係問題。
In the Old Testament,
睇舊約
the first 5 books of the Bible
頭嗰5本書
are about the law
係講律法、拖拉，
and the history of the world.
然後咧就係、歷史啊！啲拖拉唔係故事，係歷史嚟嘅。
How God made the laws that you see world governments governing today. God actually set up the laws.
然後世界個定律嘅律法就喺拖拉頭5本書摩西5經嗰度定嘅。
So you should read like one chapter from the first 5 books,
然
and
後
then
頭5本都要睇下。
you should go read some chapters from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John
你
on
可
the
以跳下
same
跳下，
day.
你有咗呢個表，你可以跳嚟跳去睇喎。總之睇咗你就畫咗佢啦，我睇過。
Then read from the Psalms.
然後咧詩篇咯，
The Psalms are songs to God,
詩篇係講得係唱出嚟嘅，係供奉神啲歌
but
詞。
they're very real. Somebody
Đúng chân
cries out, "Oh God, the wicked stole my money."
有血有肉㗎，你睇詩篇。
The Psalms are very
係
real.
呼求神啲歌詞。當
Then history books where you can learn about Israel and how God
Lịch
helps
sử.
Israel.
歷史書、
Joshua,
約
Judges.
書啊，唔同嘅意思。
There are women's books
有女人嘅書，
that talk about women that God really used, like Ruth and Esther.
仲有路德其他係關於啲女士嘅。
And then more history. 1 Samuel, 2
Lịch sử.
Samuel,
撒母耳記係歷史嚟嘅，
1 Kings,
係
2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, Ezra and Nehemiah.
然後大細先知全部都係歷史。
You need to read the book of Job, not Job, but Job. It's not the book how you get a job. The book of Job. Okay, the book of Job is about what happens if disease and loss hits you. Do you just curse God and die, or do you keep having faith in Him no matter what
喺周嗰
happens?
本書咧，究竟你去末路嗰陣時點樣做？
The last few chapters of Job also talks about dinosaur-like creatures.
然後喺嗰度你睇到恐龍，
So you'll see that God had dinosaurs in the Bible.
喺最後嗰幾篇有恐龍嘅。
Some people today think there's still dinosaurs on the earth.
Me 世界仲有好
Pastor Philip will tell you about that sometime. Okay, Proverbs is a special book. It's the wisdom of God.
點樣做人啊？睇箴言咯。
There are 31 chapters in Proverbs.
31月嘅箴言，每卷都教你點樣做人啊，好清晰啊！
Every month you should read a proverb a day.
哇，真係啊，啱啱好，每日一句啊，31個箴言。
So on January 1st you should read Proverb chapter number 1.
箴言日每日讀
On January 10th you should read Proverb chapter 10. On January 31st you should read Proverb
1
chapter
月1號、1月10號。
what?
31好鬼好㗎。
Now, Proverbs 31
31
is the special chapter that talks about how a woman of God should be.
教你點做
Proverbs
一個
31.
靈中一個姊妹，靈中一
So
個
go
女。
to Proverbs 31 to read that. Like
31咪
Judy, for example,
Judy
the way she works and the way she cares for people, that's an example of a Proverbs 31 person.
例子
Same
就
way with Simi, the way she cares for her girls and works hard for her family, that's an example of a Proverbs 31. Many of you I know are examples of Proverbs 31
好多
women.
過你哋啲姊妹真係例子嚟嘅。
Read it and see if you're a Proverbs 31 woman, right?
阿門。
Are you?
Yeah.
Read it and find out.
Yeah, but see, they're sitting there saying you can't possibly do all that.
Okay, Ecclesiastes. This is a wise man looking at the world and saying it's really horrible without God. Read it. Okay, the last book, Song of Songs. You should read this every month. It's God
所羅門嘅
telling the story of two people in love.
係講兩個人嘅愛情，就所羅門同神啦。
You don't want to think you're having a love relationship with Jesus, but you, as Christians, God loves us so much more than love between a man and a woman. So Song of Solomon shows us how much God loves us so much more and how He wants to spend time with us. He loves to spend time with you in the quiet of the night, just like you would spend time with someone you're in love with. Humans, okay? He loves to talk with you, your heart, and your hopes and your dreams and your fears, just like you talk to somebody that you love. There's a joke that women will tell everything to their man for hours. God, He wants you to tell everything to Him for hours. He never stops listening or loving. The last books are prophecy books, where God talks to His people how they can improve, how He loves them, but He wants them to avoid the bad things of sin. And there are beautiful passages in here. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations. Lamentations is when the whole of Israel was killed by invaders, and how they cried for God. They cried because they caused their own destruction. Lamentations is a very cry book. All the rest of them, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. You should read Revelation once or twice every couple of months. Revelation is the revelation of Jesus now. It's the revelation of where we are going as a people. It's not just about the end times. It's about understanding Jesus now and forever. The book of Acts
使徒行傳
the
啊，
fifth book of the New Testament,
第5章啊，
tells you about what happened in the early church, how the Gentiles came to
早
God.
期教會究竟搞乜？
And the other books that are in there are letters from Paul or other pastors telling